Today, on 16th April 2026, Anthropic launched a new version of Claude Opus, which is version 4.6. I'm going to briefly go through what this model is all about and how this is better than Opus 4.6, which is their current model or the current best model up until this point. So they're saying that this model is generally available from today, and this model is notably or significantly better compared to Opus 4.6 in advanced software engineering with particular gain on most difficult tasks. Okay, so if you give a hardest coding task to this model reliably solves that problem compared to Opus 4.6. So, for example, they are saying that this handles complex and long running tasks. Okay, so I have not tested this, but if you have used Opus 4.6, sometimes it will be lazy. It will not complete all the tasks that you have given to it. It might finish some of them, then it will ask you whether it wants to continue with the rest. Hopefully, they have improved that on this. So they are saying that it is good at handling long running tasks. I have not tested this, but that will be a better improvement if that is true. And another important thing is actually this Opus 4.7 has significantly better vision. As you know, these models are multimodal. So if you are developing something and if you want to share some information to the model, I normally take a screenshot and paste that image. So the model will understand what I'm saying based on that image, and it will continue from there by asking me questions or understanding what was wrong and go on and try to fix that. So now this model is significantly better than 4.6 in vision, which means it will be able to understand the image at a at a very good way. So even if the image quality is bad, it might be able to extract the information, or if the image is large with very high pixel resolution, it will still be able to extract information from that. And they also say that this model is more tasteful and creative when completing professional tasks like creating slideshows, documents, and things like that, which is good because it has better vision. It might be able to self-reflect, or it might be able to see its own output, and it might be able to do better in the next iteration. And they're saying that this model, although it is better than 4.6, it is not better than their unreleased model, which is currently in preview, called Claude Mythos. So Claude Mythos is not available for general use. It is not generally available. It is only in preview for selected companies. So they're saying that this model is not better than Claude Mythos. And they have listed this benchmark table, and we can see that they also included Mythos preview here just to give us the context of how this compares to that, but also to see how this compares to 4.6. You can see here that it has significant improvement in coding task, agentic coding task. Okay, so in Sweep Bench Pro, which is basically a large set of problems from GitHub or other sources, and it will be given to this model, and the model will try to solve them, and it will be automatically verified using the test cases. So on that, it scores at least 10% more than Opus 4.6, but not as good as Mythos Preview. So Mythos Preview has scored 77.8, Opus 4.7 scored 64.3. So this model sits somewhere between Mythos and 4.6 Opus. Okay, and similarly on Bench Verified, so this is actually very similar to Bench Pro, but here the list of problems are predetermined, like they are actually curated and they are verified by human to make sure they are real problem, it can be reproduced, and those will be given to these models, and the model will go and solve them and see if the tests are passing. So based on that, they will give scores. And on this also, this is significantly better than 4.6, but slightly, or not as good as Mythos Preview. So overall, this model seems to be somewhere between 4.6 and Mythos Preview. Okay, so that is what I take from this. And one interesting thing that I come across is that if you look at the visual reasoning, so this visual reasoning is basically um, because the model has better vision ability now, right? So because of that, this is having significant improvement in understanding images like charts and things like that, and and answer questions based on that. So if you have given an image of chart or something like that, and if you ask questions, it will be able to give you better answers compared to 4.6. But it is not as good as their unreleased model Mythos again. Okay, and also one other interesting thing that I have come across is this cybersecurity vulnerable reproduction. So this is from their CyberGym. This is from their CyberGym benchmark. Here, if you see actually, so this is one of the key point for Claude Mythos, right? So they're saying that Claude Mythos is significantly better for identifying and exploiting cybersecurity vulnerabilities. You can see here the score for that is 83.1 for Claude Mythos. But for Opus 4.7, this is slightly lower than Opus 4.6. This may be because they have introduced some additional guardrails. We will talk about them later. Maybe that guardrail has reduced its ability on the cybersecurity front. Okay, that's what I think, because generally this model seems to be better model than 4.6. However, on the cybersecurity front, it is slightly less performing compared to Opus 4.6. And then moving on, they are saying that, like I said earlier, when they released Claude Mythos preview, the project Glasswing, they said they are going to develop some additional safeguards, and those safeguards are going to be deployed along with their next Opus model, which is 4.7. Now we know, and these safeguards are going to be there to make sure these models are not exploited for offensive cyber operations or cybersecurity operations. Okay, so they say that they have deployed this along with this. Um, so these safeguards are going to automatically detect and block requests that indicate prohibited or high risk cybersecurity use cases. Okay, so which means if you're trying to do something dodgy in terms of cybersecurity with this model, it will block you. It will not complete the task for you. But if you're going to use this for genuine defense operations, like for example, if you want to like you are a pen tester, or you're part of red team, and or you are vulnerability researcher, you want to use it for legitimate defensive operations, you can do so by joining their cyber verification program. So that's what they're saying. And this Opus 4.7 is available across all of their products, APIs, and all of their vendors as well as of today. So then they have listed some of the testimonial from some of the early access testers, which are different companies. They have tie up with. I'm not going to go through that. But in addition to 4.7, I mean Opus 4.7, they are saying that the Opus 4.7, they are saying it has these additional improvements. One of them is instruction following. So when it comes to instruction following, they're saying that this is more literal than 4.6. If you are using 4.6, it may loosely interpret some of the instruction that you give, or skip some of the parts. But if you're using 4.7, it is going to take your instruction literally, and it will try to follow it as much as possible. So what this means is that if you're trying to use your existing instruction that you have created for Opus 4.6 on Opus 4.7, then you may get some unpredicted or unexpected result. Okay, so you probably need to fine tune your instructions for Opus 4.7. And like we previously saw, this has improved multimodal support. One of the uh, support is vision, and the current capacity for vision is 3 times more than what it was there with their previous model. I assume it was 4.6. So it will be able to read screenshots and things like that in a more dense manner. So if you have copy pasted a really large screen, it will still be able to extract minute information from that, which is good. And another thing that they are saying is for real world work like financial analysis and creating professional presentation and stuff like that, this is much better compared to 4.6. And it is also very good when it comes to doing economically valuable knowledge work across finance, legal, and other domains. And they are saying that Opus 4.7 is better in terms of memory. It will be able to keep a node of long running memory, and it can be used for multi-session work. Honestly, I don't know how this works because I thought memory is part of an agent. You can't actually keep memory within the inference process across multiple sessions. So they're saying that it works that way now. I don't fully understand this. I'll probably do a deep dive and come back to you on this. But it looks like this is going to remember the task that you have given to it for a longer time, and it might be remembered across multiple sessions as well, which is good if that is the case. And they have given again detailed chart of different work that this model is doing and how this compares to other models they have, like office task, document reasoning, and all those things. I'm just going to skip through that. So overall, Opus 4.6 seems to be significantly better in some cases or moderately better in some cases. So, or moderately better in other cases. Okay, so this is not going to be any less than 4.6. It is always better than 4.6, except that one particular case that we have seen, which is cybersecurity capability. And in terms of safety and alignment, they're saying that this model shows lower rate of concerning behavior such as deception, sycophancy, and cooperation with misuse. I don't know whether you notice this actually, especially Claude models will not try to please you. It will not go above and beyond to please you, which is basically sycophancy means. It will just be cutthroat. If you're wrong, it will tell you you're wrong, or if you are actually asking it to do something which is not valid, it will just tell you so. But if you have used things like ChatGPT or Gemini, it will try to please you. It will actually um, do that. But Claude, I have not seen doing that too much, which is good in my opinion. Um, and also, they're saying that this model is largely well aligned and trustworthy, though not fully ideal in its behavior. So again, they're saying that their best aligned model is Claude Mythos Preview. And compared to that, this is not um, you know any better than that, but it is at least as good as Opus 4.6. So that's the message they are saying. You can see here that this is the misaligned behavior. In misaligned behavior, Opus 4.6 is higher than Opus 4.7, but Mythos is much lower, which means it is doing less misaligned behavior. But Opus 4.7 is significantly, um, I mean, even if Open 4.7 is not significantly better than Opus 4.6, it is slightly better. Okay, and and they are saying that they are launching some additional things along with this model today. So the first one is more effort control. So this model is more thinking model. I mean, it takes more effort to think compared to Opus 4.6. Okay, so for this reason, they have introduced a new effort option which is called extra high, which is higher than high and less than max. Those are the effort options that we have. So basically, this defines or this controls how long a model is allowed to think. Okay, so these models are thinking or reasoning models, right? So if it faces a problem, it will actually reason through that problem to come up with a solution, and you can restrict how long it can think, because that thinking process is going to eat into your output token, and you're going to be built for that. So if you want to control, if you don't want the model to take too long to think, you can actually define that. Or if you want your model to think too long, because that is going to give you the best result, you can also define that. And the way you do that is through this option called effort level. And so far we have high and max. We also have low, I think, or fast, I think. but now they have introduced something in between high and max called extra high, and they are suggesting to use high or extra high as a default option, especially for coding tasks or agentic coding tasks. And as we have seen, it supports high resolution images now. I think they are referring to creating images. And in addition to that, their API now supports something called task budgets, which is in public beta. So what I believe this refers to is that you'll be able to create different task budget, and then the API call that you make can be mapped to one of those task budget. So that way you can prioritize which task has higher priority and which task has lower priority. So your higher priority task will have more allowance. Your lower priority task may not have high allowance. So if you need more token for your high priority task, you'll be allocating more size or more allowance to that bucket. Again, I have not taken a deep dive into this, but this is what I believe. And if this is the case, this is actually kind of innovative idea. I need to explore and see how this works. And then they also have they already have this ultra review option. I have seen that in Claude Code even before today, but now they are saying that this is available, and Claude Code users, especially those who are in Pro and Max plan, have 3 free ultra review to try. So this is basically like a code review tool. It is going to take your code or plan or whatever that is, and it is going to review that very carefully, like how a highly seasoned reviewer would review and catch issues in it. Again, I have not tried this, but it will be something that we can try now. And then they have introduced a new mode called auto mode. So now we have different modes like ask always or plan mode or bypass all permission mode. Now they have introduced a new mode called auto mode. And I think this auto mode was already there only for ultra plan, but now it is available for max plan as well, or max users as well. So what this does is, this is actually somewhere between ask always or and bypass all permission. So this is going to ask you for approval only if the command that it is going to run is very high risk. Otherwise, it is going to automatically evaluate whether the command is high risk or not. If it is not deemed as high risk, it is going to run it automatically. So that is what this auto mode is, and they have introduced this to max user as part of this release, they're saying. And the migration plan wise, they're saying that Opus 4.7 is going to take more tokens than Opus 4.6, because this is using a different tokenizer, and this means roughly 1 to 1.3 times more tokens will be used. And also these models are going to think more. Essentially what they are saying is that when you switch from Opus 4.6 to Opus 4.7, expect that you will spend more tokens for more or less same task. Okay, they're saying that this improves the reliability on hard problem, but it does mean that it is going to produce more output token. But you can control that using effort parameter, or you can explicitly prompt the model to provide concise response. So there are different ways to control the output token. And it looks like they have tested this in one of their internal model or internal task, coding task. And in that task, um, this is not taking more token. I mean, Opus 4.7 is not taking more token or not using more token compared to Opus 4.6, but it still produces better result. This is slightly contradicting because they're saying that these models are going to be using more token, but if you see here for medium and high, you can see that Opus 4.6 is using less token, or yeah, so Open 4.6 is using more token compared to Open 4.7, but the quality score or the evaluation score is better for Opus 4.7. So this is slightly contradicting because they are saying on one side that 4.7 is going to take or use more tokens, but this graph shows the other way. So I'm not sure what is true. We probably need to go and experiment and figure out ourselves. But yeah, I mean, that is what they are releasing today. Hopefully, this is going to get us one step closer to getting software developed in a much more automated way using AI assistance. And uh, and although this is not going to be as good as Claude Mythos, I can see that this is significantly better, at least as per their benchmarks and everything. So we need to try and see that for ourselves. But let's hope that this is actually better than 4.6, which is already one of the best model out there. Okay, so that is all I wanted to share today. Hope this is useful. Thank you.